Okay, everybody, my name is Lowell, and welcome to the channel. So if you watch this channel, you know I love barbecue. So I did a couple of barbecue videos the other week, and then somebody said I should watch this video. So let's do from Fork Embers. This is going to be what smoker should I buy? So let's jump in and let's have a look at this one.
You know, choosing a smoker is a lot like picking your mental illness. You're gonna be stuck with it. It's gonna bleed you dry. And the kids, well, they're probably gonna inherit it.
Everything.
What? What? Okay. Okay, I like this guy already. Okay.
The light touches.
Okay.
I once had a neighbor named Randy. Poor bastard goes out, buys an electric smoker. Next week, gets swindled into getting a timeshare. For whatever reason, goes out, buys a snake. That snake eats his chihuahua. Randy's wife leaves him. Now, he lives in the timeshare, drinking wine out of a box. And he makes pork chops so dry, you can stay in a picnic table with him. Don't be like Randy.
Stop it. Get some help.
All of that could have been avoided if he had just bought the right smoker in the first place.
Okay.
So what smoker should you buy? That's the question that everyone that turns 30 inevitably asks themselves. I mean, it's either barbecue or you get into World War II memorabilia. The real question is, how much pain and inconvenience do you want to put up with for barbecue? Do you want to stand outside all night looking like a raccoon wearing a hoodie talking to God because your brisket won't climb past 155? Or do you want to push a button and run up in the house and watch Love Island with the missus?
My dream date.
I mean, it's your call. But whatever that call is, I'm gonna help you figure out what smoker fits your style. Now we're gonna start with the smoker that I recommend to every beginner getting into barbecue. Because even in the beginning, I couldn't fuck it up that bad. And that is the Weber Smoky Mountain. I like to call this thing the balanced beginner. Now you wanna feel like you're doing something, but not so much that you're gonna ruin dinner. You want enough of a challenge so that you can brag about barbecuing, but you also wanna eat dinner, you know, before you start questioning your life choices. You also like the idea of building a fire, fiddling with vents, getting your hands dirty. You're also the kind of person that probably buys a notebook to keep track of the temperatures, but what you really end up doing is writing down what bourbon you're drinking that day or craft beer. You're gonna check the temperature every 10 minutes, when in reality, there's not a damn thing that you gotta actually adjust. Because once you get the fire started on this thing and stabilize, it's mostly set it and forget it. And when everything goes wrong and you fuck up your first barbecue, you're gonna tell yourself that you're seasoning the pit, but in reality, you're destroying dinner. But that's okay, because we've all been there, and lucky for you, you got my barbecue channel to keep you from fucking up too much. Now, when it comes to fire management, I'd say this thing is light babysitting. It's like having a cat that you don't completely trust yet. As far as the flavor, it's classic, legit barbecue. I mean, this thing's smokier than a dive bar pool table. Now, I think this thing excels mostly at cooking poultry, so we're talking about turkey, chicken. You know, as far as the learning curve, I'd say it's a medium. You're probably gonna, you know, have enough of a challenge to feel accomplished, but not so much that you start rethinking ever getting into barbecue in the first place. As far as the cost, this thing is pretty damn cheap. Now, if you go buy this thing brand new, the 22-inch Weber Smoky Mountain is gonna cost you about $500. But when it comes to buying a
That's cheap. Okay. Okay.
thing brand new, the 22-inch Weber Smoky Mountain is gonna cost you about $500. But when it comes to buying a smoker, my suggestion is go to Facebook Marketplace. You're gonna get it for the fraction of the cost, and I'd prefer buying a seasoned smoker anyways. As far as who is this smoker best for, I'd say everyone that's wanting to get into smoking. You know, these are people who want to play pitmaster, but they don't really want to commit to a 24/7 job of managing a brisket. You know, these people are gonna be curious, casual, and you know, just cocky enough to get into barbecue. This next smoker is called the pellet grill. I like to call it the chill griller because you like barbecue, but you also like to take a nap. You like the idea of smoked brisket, but not so much that you're gonna stay up all night fighting with a fire. You know, you want the credit without the effort. And let's be honest, you probably own more craft beer than you can drink in a year. And you think that a good smoker should pair well with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. Now, when it comes to fire management, there's zero. You don't manage a fire, you manage an app on your phone. These smokers are very convenient. And you know, when it comes to flavor, it's pretty good. It's not bad, honestly. It's just not enough to impress your friend that wears flannel year round and chops his own wood.
I'm just disappointed.
In my experience, the pellet grills do not excel at direct cooking. You got a little cup about yay big, and that's where your fire comes out. And you usually got a deflector over top of that. That deflector can move, but you can only grill on a diameter of this big. I don't love it for that. Now, when it comes to the learning curve, if you can plug in a toaster, you can use the pellet grill. You know, there's a couple things that you're gonna have go wrong and that you're gonna have to deal with when you own a pellet smoker, outside of people making fun of you, of course. The first problem is if you're storing it somewhere where there's a lot of humidity or moisture in the air and you leave pellets in the auger, they can swell and actually stop up the auger. And now you're fucked because you gotta pull that auger out. Don't ask me how I know that. The other problem is that if you don't keep the cup clean where the fire's coming out of, or it's really windy, that fire can go out. And there's a thermometer inside of the cooking chamber telling the computer what the temperature is in the cooking chamber. And that tells the computer when to push more pellets. So if you have it set to 250 and the fire goes out, obviously the temperature's gonna go down. That computer doesn't know that fire's out. And it's just gonna keep pushing pellets. And you're gonna come back and you have a mountain of fucking pellets in the bottom of your smoker. So don't be lazy and make sure you keep it clean. When it comes to cost, these things can range from a few $100s to thousands of dollars. If you're looking for a middle of the road, pretty solid pellet smoker, look at a Pit Boss. I used to own a Pit Boss Austin XL. You know, it was that time in my life where I was like, I think I want more convenience. I bought one, ended up giving it to my father-in-law. Now it is a piece of patio furniture that doesn't get used. And if you're looking to jump up to more premium brands, you're probably looking at a Traeger or a Rectech. But so many brands are getting into the pellet game. You know, you got Weber even doing pellet grills now. And hell, I mean, even Lone Star Grills is getting into pellets. These are best for people who like to say, set it and forget it, like it's a personality trait. They're for folks who want to eat good, but they don't want to smell like smoke. In all seriousness though, these smokers are great for people who just want barbecue that's convenient. You know, you're probably still going to get about 80% of the flavor, maybe even higher, with way less work, but you're gonna be missing out on the process of actually smoking. You're gonna have fun with it. People are gonna make fun of you. That's just a thing that people do in this community. It's brutal, but fuck them.
I like the convenience of being slightly easier, but I kind of want to learn that skill too. I don't want to set it and forget it, you know. Because if you need to barbecue without the pellets, it's like, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it properly, you know. I like the convenience, but I don't like the fact that you don't really learn much from it.
The next smoker is the offset. I like to call this the craftsman, or the holier than thou. You know, you think that barbecue is a spiritual journey, kind of a test of patience, a way to connect to your ancestors through smoke and tears. You know, you romanticize fire management like it's a damn art form. And you probably named your smoker something dramatic, like Lucille or the Widowmaker. And when things inevitably go sideways, you're gonna wander in one of those Facebook barbecue groups where every Travis and Chuck is apparently a 3-time Memphis in May champion. They're gonna have 2 pictures on their profile, one of an American flag, the other of a rattlesnake that says, "Don't tread on me." And they're gonna tell you to kill yourself because you start your smoker with Kings for Charcoal. Coincidentally, your name's also Travis or Chuck. Now, you're the kind of person that buys all of your wood by the rick, and you swear that you can tell the difference between northern and southern oak. And you also like to adjust your dampers like you're diffusing a bomb.
It's like a million wires in here.
Now, you won't admit it, but you like the pain. You want the suffering. It makes the brisket taste better, doesn't it? Now, when it comes to fire management, this thing is a full-time job, like wrangling feral kids at a Chuck E. Cheese. Now, when it comes to flavor, this thing is the best, in my humble personal opinion. I love cooking beef on an offset smoker. I get a bark that I just don't get with other smokers. And a lot of them will even have grill grates, so you can actually directly grill in this. So this actually will excel at smoking and grilling. And when it comes to the learning curve, well, it's pretty fucking brutal. It's like a boot camp that's ran by Gordon Ramsay.
We have the most amazing equipment, and yet the product is shit.
And when it comes to the cost, these things can go anywhere from a few hundred for some cheap tin can pieces of shit up to infinity. X amount of dollars. I've seen people spend $100,000 on commercial smoke. My personal favorites are your Old Countries and your Lone Star grills. If you're trying to spend over $1,000, I'd recommend one of those two. There are a lot of good smokers out there. If you're trying to go more of the mid-range, you also want to go with the Old Country Pecos. You know, it's going to be a little bit thinner gauge than the Brazos. You can also pick up an Oklahoma Joe. Just know that what you're really paying for when you get up into the nicer smokers that are offset is the thickness of the steel and obviously the size of the cooking area. You know, these smokers are really best for people who wear flannel all year round and they cry if the bark doesn't crack just right. Now, when you go and buy you an offset smoker, make sure that you also get the card with it, get it laminated, because I think it's good at places like Facebook or any social media pretty much that says I'm better than you. You know, these are for those types of people. And they got more time than anything else, right? Because you ain't gonna be able to walk away from this damn thing for more than 20 or 30 minutes when you're trying to manage a fire. For your bigger ones, you might get more time out of it. For something like this, you're probably gonna get 30 minutes out of a piece of wood. So if you don't have time to sit and manage one of these, I don't recommend getting an offset smoker. They're terrible smokers to introduce people to barbecue because you're probably gonna quit.
Okay.
The next smoker is the Weber kettle. And yes, if this thing looks short, it's because I'm 6'4" and I got the camera down to the ground just so I can have me and the top of this thing in the same frame. Now these owners like to say they're saving money.
Maybe I'll go to a bank and say, hello, do I have an account here?
They see a $50 grill, they're like, I can make that smoke a brisket. You know, you're a tinker, a MacGyver of sorts, you know, a DIY mad person. You're the type of person that's gonna take a pizza stone and turn it into a heat deflector. You're also gonna be taking soup cans, cutting them up to improve airflow, and you're gonna tell people that it's all about the technique and not the smoker. But in reality, your Weber kettle looks like a fucking spaceship because you got so many mods on it. And somehow, you're still gonna make some bomb-ass barbecue, especially if you follow my channel. Now, when it comes to fire management, this thing is constant tinkering. You're not gonna be sitting it and forgetting it, at least not without mods, but you like the constant tinkering. It's kind of like working on your carburetor. Now, as far as the flavor, if you can finesse those vents like a concert pianist, it's great. It actually excels at cooking poultry. This is probably my go-to when I'm cooking anything chicken or turkey. And there's a ton of mods for this thing. I love my rotisserie kit. Well, really, that's the only mod I've bought so far, but there are a lot out there. Now, when it comes to the cost, you're looking at $50 on Facebook Marketplace to $150 brand new. But whatever you save buying this thing, you're gonna spend it on mods and accessories. So it don't really matter. This smoker is best for tinkers, DIYers, people who wanna save money or at least think they're saving money. And for people that think they can outsmart thermodynamics with enough determination and aluminum foil. Now this next smoker is the Komodo Joe or Big Green Egg. These are your ceramic style smokers. I like to call these the cult member because if you bought this, you didn't just buy a grill, like you're a true believer now. You talk about airflow control and thermal mass at parties and nobody even asked you about it. You just like to bring up stuff that you know.
Stop it.
And you like to take that big heavy ceramic lid, dramatically close it like you're sealing a tomb. And you like to take a step back, sit there with a shit-eating grin on your face because you think you have all the answers to barbecue and nobody else knows shit. You're the kind of person that's gonna accessorize your grill like it's a luxury vehicle. I mean, you got cedar top prep tables, you got custom covers, fancy ass thermometers. I mean, you got more money than you got sense. And every time you make chicken thighs, you like to brag about how they're restaurant quality, but in reality, they taste like chicken thighs. When it comes to fire management for one of these smokers, it's pretty locked in once you dial it in. Similar to the Weber Smoky Mountain, once you get it started and you got that temperature set, you don't really gotta fuck with that much. But you're gonna mess with it at least 50 times just to feel useful. As far as the flavor goes, it's pretty incredible, rich, fancy, you know, something you'll roll out when your in-laws visit. And for the learning curve, not difficult at all. But you're gonna make it sound like it's difficult as hell. When it comes to the cost, I mean, you're gonna be spending a pretty penny. I'd say around $1,500 will get you a good one. The only one I really have experience with is the Big Green Egg. So make sure you do your research before you go drop that kind of money on a smoker. I'd say these smokers are best for backyard chefs with more money than patience, and you have really strong opinions about lump charcoal. These are people that's gonna call their patio a cooking studio. But on a serious note, just keep in mind, these things are not very traversal. You're not gonna be moving them. So if you want something that's portable, don't go with a Big Green Egg or a ceramic smoker. You can get smaller ones, but they're fragile. So they're gonna break if you drop them.
Okay.
So if you don't mind spending a bunch of money on a smoker that gives you pretty much the same results as maybe a Weber Smoky Mountain, then Big Green Egg and ceramic smokers are for you.
Oh, they're expensive. Damn.
This next smoker is the electric smoker. For obvious reasons, I like to call this the button pusher. Now you want barbecue, but you also want to keep your hands clean. You also want your weekends back, and you want zero chance of ever smelling like smoke. Now you like the idea of barbecue, but you know, not enough to actually barbecue. You plug it in, push a button, and call yourself a pit master, but your only experience with wood is a bag of chips for mile 12. You're the kind of person that brags about low and slow, but you think that a smoke ring is a myth, kind of like Bigfoot. I don't even know if I need to mention the fire management, because there's none, zero. You plug it in, turn it on, watch a movie, go do anything else but barbecue. And when it comes to flavor, this thing provides a faint suggestion of smoke. Kind of like a piece of meat you hung in a tree 30 feet away from a campfire. And when it comes to learning curve, this thing is kind of so easy, it's suspicious. And for the cost, you're probably looking at about $500 for a middle of the road electric smoker. You can get cheaper ones that are around $200. Pit Boss has them for about $500, and you can get up into about $1,000 range. Personally, I wouldn't spend $1,000 on a smoker that doesn't actually have fire. But these smokers do have their place in the market. They're best for apartment dwellers, people who are retired but don't want to spend all their time barbecuing. You know, they're for people who treat barbecue kind of like a crock pot.
It's not very good if you're doing a smoke and you don't even get that smoky taste. I mean, what's the point? What's the point in that? That's the whole taste.
Now this next smoker is the drum smoker. I like to call it the drum junkie, because most people who have this smoker, they are really into their smoker. Because whether they built it themselves or they bought it off of a guy named Rick who built it next to a Camaro sitting on cinder blocks, or they forked out big money to have one painted up like a stock car, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, it's still a steel barrel. But it works. Now you don't need fancy gadgets, ceramic domes, or an app telling you how to live your life. You just need metal, fire, and enough self-confidence to stand over something that looks like hazardous waste while you make some damn good rib, because this thing is the king of pork ribs. For fire management, this thing is surprisingly really simple. It makes you feel like a pit engineer and a pyromaniac in one. And when it comes to the flavor, this thing has deep, rich, smoky flavor, really nice bark, and it excels at making pork ribs. Most of your people on your barbecue competition circuits are using this thing for ribs. Now when it comes to learning curve, it's very simple. As long as Rick or whoever you paid to build it, put everything where it's supposed to go, you're in good shape. But if they didn't, you're gonna have a smoker that smokes more than it should, and it's not gonna be a clean smoke. You're not gonna be able to run very low and slow. I've seen them to where they weren't built right, and you had to run them into 300 range. But if you spent big money, you're probably in good shape. Which brings me to the cost, which is probably over $1,000 for a really good one. When I say really good one, brands that come to mind are Gateway. Now these smokers are best for people who love barbecue and don't mind the smell of burnt knuckle hair. Now, whether you built it yourself or you just lie and tell people you did, you're gonna fit right in. You're kind of a distant cousin to your offset smoking buddies. You kind of feel cocky enough to think that your smoker is the best smoker out there. Which, if you've noticed, common pattern is pretty much all these smokers think that they're the best smoker. Okay, so there you have it. Those are some of your more popular smokers out there. If you twisted my arm and said, Joe, give me an actual recommendation, I'd probably go with the Weber Smoky Mountain, because it's going to teach you how to manage a fire. It's going to make you feel like you're really doing something, but it's also pretty set it and forget it if you know what you're doing. But hey, nobody likes to be told what kind of messed up barbecue person they are. You know, not even me. And I know I poked a little fun today, but just remember, I'm a little bit of all of these fucked up people. Now, go ahead and drop what smoker you're using in the comments, whether it's a $50 trash can or it's a ceramic spaceship from the future. And if you like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and go check out my Patreon. The link's in the description. I'll actually do a little bit more deeper dive into the different types of smokers that are within those types that I mentioned today. I'll have that article up now, so go check it out. And until next time, smoke on.
I'm going to say, he did a great rundown on those smokers. I've never smoked anything. But as I said, you know, set and forget, I don't really want to do that. I want to learn how to do it. I don't know if I'm ready for offset smoker. Maybe that Weber, the first one, maybe that might be the way to go. I don't know. It depends what we have available here too in Australia. I don't know if the smoking is definitely not as big as it is in the US. I don't know if it's as big as it was a couple of years ago. I have seen a couple at the store, but I don't know. I don't know what they were or whatever else. So I don't know. As I said, I'm just getting into it. I want to get into it. Well, after watching all these barbecue videos and stuff, I can't get to America just yet. And I just think if I can't get there, I need to do it here. So that's what the point is. So definitely some more research needs to be done, but I definitely don't want to set and forget it. I want to actually learn how to do it and control it and, you know, introduce those flavors and obviously share it with family and friends and everything else. Yeah, I think definitely more research needs to be done on my part. So, but a very, very interesting video. I like his style, great humor in that. I will put the information for his channel down in the description, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know. Let me know if you have a smoker and what you like to smoke in your smoker. So, guys, thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you stay safe, and I will definitely see you in the next reaction video.
Oh, you're still here? You want more content? Why don't you check out my Patreon down here? You'll get plenty more content and some exclusive videos over there too. If not, why not check out this one over here?